Hi, I'm Patricia Rawlinson, and I'd like to welcome you to I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas sign project. What we've done here is we've created a project that uses a stencil for the lettering, because then everything is perfectly even and awesome, so that makes it really easy. And then we've done a little bit of detailing and stuff to make it be a little bit deeper than just some simple stencil projects. So I hope you enjoy the lesson. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alright, I'm getting ready to do my lettering and my details and stuff. I've got the board based with lamp black, and I've sealed it with multi-purpose sealer. You want to seal it on both sides so that your board doesn't warp. I'm going to take this triple threat ghostwriter, and I'm going to use the gray lead. It's got a gray ceramic lead, a roller ball, and a white ceramic lead. The white's going to be too bright for me, so I'm just going to use this gray, and I want to put the banner on so that I have a color behind. So it's just there to kind of mark my color placement, and then I'll fill it in with just regular base coat steps. Alright, we're going to begin highlighting some of the elements. I'm going to use Decorative Americana Coral Blush. I'm going to use a crescent brush, and I'll just scumble that off. And I'm going to be careful, not too much in this particular case down this ribbon. Just right down the middle. Okay, I scrubbed off just too much paint. So just right down the middle, just nice and gentle. Not too bright, but we want it to have some detail. And I'm looking for where my ribbon does its thing, because then we'll highlight that part. And then we can go a little scumble and just keep working at it. This is the boring part. When we get done and we glaze, it'll kind of sink everything together. That's just going to give us some dimension. And since this is all the same, I'll just skip forward and show you the little ribbon. So you're going to do the high points as they come around, but you're not going to come all the way to the corners. And you'll repeat on all of those. Alright, now we're going to shade with alizarin crimson, and that's the Deco Art Americana. And we're going to walk our float. So we're going to walk it just by stepping it down, and notice how that already looks really pretty. And keep it right on the edge there, and if you need to, blot with your finger or get out a little mop. Okay, and we'll do all the same sides, and then I'll flip myself around and do the other side. And don't walk the skinny ones out so far, because you want to see some of that highlight, or you won't be able to tell that it does anything. Okay, now we'll do the ribbon. And we'll just bring this puppy right on down and slide it under. And then walk it out just a little bit. If you get it on your black, either just wipe it off with your finger or use a little black to patch it. Sometimes it's easier just to patch whatever you're next to than it is to be neat when you're floating. Okay, so we're going to come up under here. Back, give it a nice stencil pattern. Hopefully I can see what the heck I'm doing here. And this comes up, I believe, like that. Got my three level water basin, and I just wanted to share, as I was just doing that, I was like, oh wait, it's got 3 different basins, and they're pretty good size. I use the middle one for my dirty water, like where I'm rinsing my brush off, and I use the front one to load water because it's lower down and easier to access. And the back one is where I put like sponges and brushes that I'm going to wash later, like domes and stuff like that. So I just pile them on in there while I'm painting and then take care of them at the end. But it is lovely to have, you know, the 3 stages of water in the water basin. Okay, so we are going to float just a little bit to give the ends of this ribbon just a little bit of, let's go ahead and give just a little bit of shot of something going on. Got water on my arm. Turning my brush slightly at an angle. And that'll just kind of give it a rim of some kind of color. And then we'll go ahead and make the bottom of these ribbons just a little bit darker than the tops. Can be a little noisier. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing at the bottom, just giving it a little trim of color. And on the bottom. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and float where the highlight is bending. I'm going to need a mop on this one. See how choppy that looks? Get a mop going. We will work from the clean side in and it just evens out. And clean side in. And lighten the pressure as you get to the inside. And then wipe it off on your paper towel when you get done. Alright, if we want to strengthen the middle floats here, I'm going to go up one color. That was Coral Shell. This is, no, that was Coral Blush. This is Coral Shell. And it's just the next color up. You could also just add white if you wanted to. That's an easy way to do it. So I'm just going to use the same brush, but I'm going to dry it out a little bit. And I'm going to float. I'm going to get my brush floated. And then this is what you call a flip float. So I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to flip my brush. And I'm going to get a nice, let that just even out right there. You get a nice strong center highlight. And so that just really pops. Okay, and we'll go and do the same thing over here. Now we'll flip it over. Oops. Might have to clean up with my black. Don't be afraid of cleanup. We all have to do it. Nobody is a perfect painter. I probably need to add a little bit of water. That was, the last one was a little bit dry. Okay, so we'll just swoop some of that. And repeat. Then we'll go ahead and repeat just a little bit of that highlight, not exactly everywhere where we floated, just to give it some pop. Same thing over here. Always turn your project to get you in the most comfortable position. You want to be able to see where you're floating and see where your brush is going. So if you can't see it, you can't paint well. And that's fact. Alright, I think we need to deepen our shading on our ribbon. Okay, we're going to go into soft black, and then with soft black we'll just give ourselves just a little bit of deepening. And we'll walk that out if we need to, but not as far as our red goes. I'm using a very dry brush, and I'm just doing a little bit of floating. And that should give us a little bit more pizzazz. All right, we're going to take our leaves and we're going to use forest green. And if we need to, we can give them the indicator line to show where they're going to be shaded and stuff. So I'm going to start with forest green, and I'm going to go rather large because we're going to shade around. I'm not really drying that off, and it's not really showing up very well. So we're going to go into festive green. I'm going to dry that off really well and go back into festive green. And I'm going to try a different side of that leaf. Yeah, no, not liking that. All right, we're going to bounce back to our wine glass, and we're going to go with some deep burgundy. I've got that based with, I went ahead and rebased my leaves with the forest green. I think they were just too dark for the color. So I'm going to go deep burgundy, and we're going to give that a little highlight up top, and then highlight, and a bit more. We'll do kind of shape following. Getting all kinds of glare today. Shape following with the deep burgundy. We couldn't jump, I don't believe, to one of the other colors without cutting it with some deep burgundy first. This black plum is just a little too dark. So that just gives it just a little bit more of a Cabernet glow. And then why don't we go ahead, we got that dry pretty much. We'll go from there to country red. We'll give it a little bit of a swoop. And a little bit more. When your paint is still sticky, be careful not to dig a hole. If it's still just a little bit wet, you want to use real light pressure. I'm looking up in the camera monitor to see if I feel like I've got enough color. You can look at your painting and squint at it, and that will show you if you've got enough of a highlight or enough of a difference. Okay, and then we'll go into just a little bit of the terra coral. Okay, and that gives us the effect of having a little bit of wine in our glass. Alright, so we're going to attempt to paint a realistic looking wine glass. We shall see how we do. I'm going to use a little bit of slate gray. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of give it an outline using my short bright. And we'll give it an outline this way. I'm going to try to keep it kind of even. And we'll get some more water, get some more paint. Alright, I'm looking at a picture so I can sort of figure this stuff out. Alright, so we're going to bring it down the, oh hi, ha, not that way. Alright, we're going to trade brushes, and we're going to go into slate gray with our little crescent, and we're going to highlight down the middle of this, leaving a little bit of a dark edge. Okay, and then right down here where it changes, we'll go ahead and give it just a little bit of a shape following. And we'll go ahead and expand that. so far so good, huh? Okay, then they're now dry over here on the edge, so I can go ahead and do the edge of my wine glass. And then we might need a little bit of mopping. Okay, so it's a little bit bright. We'll see what we end up with. I'll rinse that. And since we're going to have white and all kinds of things in this project, I think that we'll be okay. And we'll bring our brush around. And same thing again. Bring that in. And then we want to go ahead and give it a highlight. Oops. So go ahead and give it just a really strong highlight over there. All right, and we'll go for, whoops, got no good flow going on here. I'll go ahead and give it a few more strong highlights over to the one side. That way it kind of balances everything off to one side. And I think we'll get a little liner brush. And we'll get just a little bit of gray. I think we'll just go ahead and give it a soft outline, just a little bit. And we'll give a little bit over here. Oops, hi. Staying in the lines. Don't want lumpy glassware. Okay. All right, I think I've got a leaf I like. So here's what we're going. We've got base coat is forest green. We're going to do some dry rubbing with our festive green. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the tops of the leaves here and here be the floated with festive green, and then the bottoms here and here are going to be shaded with evergreen and then subsequently with black green. So if you need to, use your Ghost Writer and give yourself your lines so that you have some kind of map. Leaves that are kind of flat don't look very good, so you want to be careful of that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just do the middle of the leaves with the dry rub of the festive green. And that's going to give us just kind of a middle bright. Watch which leaves are underneath which leaves. So this one is here. So we'll go right up to that, and then of course that's the highlight side of the bottom leaf. And then that's going to be the highlight side of the top leaf. So we'll get up close and then we'll finish it with a float. I'm going to flip this over. Running out of room. I love this dry rub technique because just anybody could do it. You just are scribbling with your brush. As long as you dry it off on the paper towel, you're going to be just awesomely fine. Okay, and then I'll just repeat like that. Actually, let me go ahead and finish one for you right all together. So then we'll go into evergreen. And evergreen is going to be used to float where there is shadow. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out which angle to go at. Evergreen is a really transparent color. So it's super difficult to kind of even see, but it's a really pretty transition color. Okay, and then we'll float down our middle. I feel like I have this bent the wrong way. It's probably because I do, huh? All right. And then we'll go into festive green. And festive green is going to, well, see, now I can't play in there because it's wet. So I'll do the festive green up here so you can see it. That's going to be right on the leaf tops. All right, we're going to add just a little bit of sour apple, and we're going to do that just in these little corners, and we're going to do it with not super dry because it's not wanting to pull off the brush when it's super dry. So just give it a couple of points, and then just don't rub, whoops, hi, real light, real hard when it's fresh. Just want a little bit of sparkle here and there, and not everywhere. Okay, and then we'll go in with a little bit of kind of concentrated, give it a shazowy, going up the middle. Might even need to switch to a dry brush. All right, so I've got a liner brush, and I'm going to just I'm going to load it like a liner brush. We'll just give it a couple of little pulls and then streak it with our finger. Sometimes finger painting is what you need to do. All right, we're going to just take and line all of our bows. And you can add some more later, but it's a good idea to just go ahead and get the bows established right now, because this one says it's going to go that way, but I'm not sure. Well, I'll go ahead and add it in there. Just change its line just a little bit. And I think this one as well. We've got bells to put in there too, don't forget. Okay, so we'll get those all lined. All right, we're going to start with our forest green because we'll be able to see it. I'm going to pick one that's comfortable angle for me, and I'm going to start from the back of the bow forward and pull towards myself. So I'm going to do these swooping strokes. I've got thinned paint, swooping strokes, and we're going to do 2 or 3 different levels. And I don't care if it goes over my ribbon. As a matter of fact, I prefer it to go over the elements. And then we can go back and we can give it a few more. And we're going to look and build up some layers here, but it's real fast. If you really get kind of anal about it, it'll take you 100 years, so don't do that. The idea is to get done with your projects and not camp on them forever. Okay, so I'm just going to go over and pull that over and off. And because this needs to dry, I'm going to go ahead and just finish the rest of them. All right, we're going to do the last of our highlights. Let me get one that I think you'll be able to see. And we're just going to give it a couple of thin, light ones. And that's going to be out of the sour apple color. Keep them more to the tips. All right, I've got the colors blocked for my stenciling, and I've got honey brown, I've got khaki tan, the country red, and then I'm adding a few little stencils in here. So I'm using, which color is this? Bleach sand. And I'm just trying to get a little bit of stuff to connect it all in the background. I don't care for that one so bright, so I'll just smear it. Can't have very many of these. And when you want them really light, just rub with your brush instead of stippling. All right, we're going to take some antique maroon, and we're going to tackle this big Christmas letter. We want the top and the bottom of the letters to be this antique maroon color and to fade. And I'd like to keep it off of my other letters if possible. So we'll just rub right across the bottoms. Easiest floating on letters you've ever done. And I'll go right across the tops. As long as you really rub it off on the paper towel, you're going to be safe to do this technique. You can repeat if you don't think you got it dark enough. You could also float, so if you want to float on it, you can do that too. And that would just be repeating just at the very base. And I didn't get those too gold. That's too bad. Let me take a look. Okay, so it's got that nice fade. I can't decide about the drink. The drink is kind of fancy. Okay, I think I'm going to skip it for right now because I can always go back and do it. So the key to this is start with what you know, and things tend to fall in place. Okay, then we'll go into golden straw. And what we'll do is we'll start right in the middle and not go all the way out. We want some of that honey brown to show. And so we'll lighten up our pressure after we get down through the straight middle. Okay, and we can go back and just fade it just a little bit up and down. And then just a touch of marigold. Okay, we'll unpin it. And ta-da, presto. Looks pretty good. I do think that this guy needs to have some kind of accent to him. So maybe what we'll do with him is we'll go and do some of that highlight color up top. To remember that we want some of the gold to show, so don't pull it all the way down. And then we'll go on the bottom with our antique maroon. We can go with a little bit of an accent at the very top. Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, well, I've got this brush dirty. I'm going to use black plum to do these letters in here. Okay, and so then we'll tackle this red letter. We're going to use the black plum at the bottoms. With the bottom in the middle, I think I'll just do the bottom and the top. So that's black plum, and then we'll get out another brush. Well, when you get into these projects, you better make sure you have a lot of brushes handy. Okay, so that was country red, so we'll go into our pink color, which is coral blush, and we'll go up at the top. When the openings start getting bigger, you need to be a little bit more gentle because you can brush the stencil aside. You just want to work that across the top. Need to keep some of that country red in the middle. It looks like I might have brought my dark up just too high. And then we need some of our dried coral shell. Just a little bit across the tops of these letters. Take a peek. Okay. Okay, we're going to do the white with bleached sand in the middle and hope that that reads as highlights and things like that. Right through the center of the letter. Stretch it down just a little bit, maybe get across that base of that cap. Not quite. Okay, now we'll go straight across. Fade it down. And we'll take a peek. I don't know if we get to get very, very white with this because there's not a whole lot of white in it, so that needs to be like a focal point, but not like too crazy. So I think at this point I'm going to leave it alone and see where we get. Okay, we're going to use the Bell stencil as a mask. So I'll just get that lined up. And just in this middle section, the top and the bottom, or actually in the whole middle section, I guess, go ahead and get the Bell highlighted. We don't want these highlights to get too high, too bright, because we don't want these to be competing with these things. So I'm just going to go with a little bit of a mustard seed in the middle. It's the same basic colors. So I'm going to attempt really strongly to not get it too bright. Just a nice little circular . Okay, we're going to attempt some milk chocolate as a shadow. And so I'll just do a little rotating thing going all the way around. Maybe pick up just a little bit of traditional burnt sienna to sink it down on the bottom. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I'm gonna want something to mask this, I have a feeling. I think that I'm probably gonna want my highest highlight to be the base color. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that, maybe a wash. Okay, I went ahead and shaded with asphaltum and did a glaze over the top, just dry rubbing it with milk chocolate. So we've darkened down quite considerably. Now I'm doing black on the little holes. And not doing something I should be doing there. I'll get into a crescent brush for that, and I'll go into the the honey brown to give it that highlight. We don't want it too highlighted, which we've established. And you can go with just a teeny bit of highlight of the golden straw. Okay, and there we have a simple little bell down there, and hopefully not too distracting. I think that our yellows brighten this up, and this doesn't complete too much. All right, now that I've got the greenery on top of the ornaments, I want to go in and sink these green boughs, these green things back behind the bells. Not the ornaments, I'm saying all the things wrong. You can tell it's the end of the painting day. Okay, so we'll just make sure that that just all sinks down in there and we don't have things looking like they're on top. Okay, all of our leaves are sitting at the same level of brightness. I'm gonna just wash over some of them with some evergreen and some of them not on every side, but on one side. And let some things be high and some things be low. They just ended up being a lot the same. So like down here, we can just take this, knock this puppy down just a little bit. The end is when you always do all your futzing and finishing. Yeah, I think if we keep that light just kind of up in the side, I think that'll help us. And I'm going to add just one more little detail. I'm going to add a little bit of decorative detail right in the middle of the letter. So I've just added a dot, and then I'm just going to add a little stroke. And this is with the golden straw. And I'll add the stroke going up as well. Kind of shape following, as you will.